Well, welcome to the first Word of Life, Word of Laughter comedy night. We're making history tonight. And I gotta get into my notes.
Oh, I thought you were taking a picture of it.
No, that's my face. You want a picture? Ooh, everybody smile for Kara. My shirt still down? Okay. I just want to make sure I wasn't doing that belly shirt thing.
Me too, bro.
All right, well, I'm Nick Leone. In case you don't know me, I think a lot of you guys do, but it's so exciting you guys are here. It's so fun to have, friends, family, coworkers. It's awesome to see you guys. And this has actually been a dream of mine for a long time. I actually was just talking with my buddy Zach Kemick, and we've known each other, forever. And he said, "Man, I knew you'd always be good at that. You always make my face always hurts when we get together." So anyway, so thank you for helping me realize something and just step up and step into this. So, and I think a lot of the guys that are here tonight, it's kind of the same deal. Grew up, laughing, watching comedy. I love all the 80s stuff, right? So I'm like Bill Cosby. I actually just got some free tickets to Bobcat Goldthwait this weekend. If you guys know who that is, Police Academy, Art Blew a Fart, that whole one. And so Molly and I, we've really been trying to work on our dreams, our visions, our goals, and what we want to accomplish. Am I getting caught up here? Yeah. So for 2022, right? And we've mapped all of that out and everything else. And one of the biggest things we want to work on is our communication and our health. Anybody married in here? Yeah, that's a life sentence, right? Communication, And so for us, it's things like we've been working on something called active listening. There you go. You guys know what that is, right? Where you repeat back what the other person says. Yeah, so we've started doing this, and so, and I'm talking to Molly, and we're mapping stuff out, and we're planning for the kids, and what are we going to do here, and what are we going to do there, and we actually went up to a cabin to do all this kind of stuff, and, I'm talking to her, and I said, does that make sense? And she goes, well, what I heard you say was, dirk, 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 dirk. And I said, that's not what I said, right? And then I get upset, and she goes, well, what you said, I don't know if you guys notice this, but whenever your spouse gets upset and you repeat it back to them, they always sound like Elmer Fudd. You ever notice that? She's like, you've been hunting wabbit. I'm like, that is not how I sound. Molly. Gosh, I'm going to have trouble with this. Anybody know how to keep an iPhone unlocked? All right. I guess I'll have to just keep touching it.
Your sleep mode.
Who?
Your sleep mode has a timer.
Oh, sleep note. Yeah. Sleep notes? Those are great.
Mode.
You prescribe those? Sleep notes. Can you get those on the list? Okay, so active listening, that's right. First time, baby. Hey, thanks for laughing anyways. I appreciate that. That's excellent. So the other thing that we want to work on is we want to work on our health, right? And so Molly and I are sitting in church, and we've been talking about how fat we've gotten and how just nothing's working out. We've been through every diet. Have you guys ever tried that diet where you get like a dry piece of toast, and you get a little scoop of, cottage cheese, and that's about it. That's what you get for the day, and maybe some parsley, right? A lot of us, anybody, dieters, right? The ups and downs and all the, fads and everything else that's going on, and we're like, we could really use some help. So we're talking about this, and of course, Molly's saying I sound like Dirk, but I look back, and I see the heavens open. I hear, that whole thing. The light comes down, and there's this guy who looks just like an Adonis, this Greek god, right? And he's got these eyes of blue that just pierce into our soul. And I said, honey, I think that's the guy. And as I got closer, I realized he wasn't Greek, he was half Sicilian, half Italian, and then I knew, this is it. This is our guy. And some of you guys know him, JT, right? And I said, hey, can you make me look like you? And he goes, absolutely. It'd be my pleasure. And now we pay him hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month to beat the crap out of us. And, I figured it out, though. He got all of his training from a Nazi prison camp. Because when I call him up and I go, hey, my muscles are sore. Do you got anything I can take? Should I eat more bananas? Do I need to do glucosamine? Should I drink more water? What do I need to do? I've done my job. And he hangs up. Right? And I'm telling him how Molly and I aren't feeling really well. She wasn't really feeling well. This was funny. We just got back from Montana and she wasn't feeling well like a week ago or whatever. And I'm going, man, she's, blowing snot and blood's coming out and all this kind of stuff. And he goes, well, yeah, it's probably all that crap she ate. So if you guys need a trainer, I'd be happy to give you his card after the show. And he can make your life miserable. But it's been great. I mean, we've been working out. After about 3 months, I had people coming up to me at church and everything else, and they're saying, "Hey, skinny." I honestly, I've never been called skinny. When I was in little guy football, anybody relate to this, right? You could only play line. They put the orange stripe. They weigh you in. Like, this is like great, great self-esteem building. Thank you. Did you play little guy football? Yeah. Right? It's the worst. You weigh in, and they're like, sorry, fatty, you can't run the ball. But all these people, so I've never been called skinny before, so that was like new. I'm just like, are they talking about me? And I didn't really know how to respond, so I said, hey, fatty. I mean, what do you do with that? They said, well, you're looking great. How did you do it? I said, well, I had bronchitis for about a month and a half. I lost 25 pounds. I can teach you. You can do it too. You don't even have to do some kind of crazy program with some cottage cheese and a cracker. No problem. Right? And isn't it funny when you get sick these days, man? Everybody is a doctor or a drug dealer. Have you noticed that? Right? You get sick. Is it COVID? Right? My dad calls me up. He goes, hey, was it COVID? And I said, well, no. Well, did you get tested? Yeah. It was negative. Yeah. It was negative. Yeah. Was it COVID? I don't know how to answer that, Dad. Right? And like everything's COVID these days. I mean, you go in with a broken leg, it's like, oh, we got to get you a test. Check it out. Make sure that wasn't affected by COVID. You know what I mean? But man, the drug dealers come out, man. Hey, I know a guy. I'll get you a dime bag of ivermectin. Well, you need some hydrochloroquine? No problem. But here's the funny part about all those things, right? Because both my folks are in the medical field. They're both nurses, and so, my wife calls up my mom, and she's like, all of a sudden, just to add some more fun to my bronchitis and my 100-degree fever that I had for a week in December, I broke out in hives one day. We're like, what the heck is this? Just some extra fun, I guess. Right? And so Molly calls up my mom, and my mom's like, well, what is he taking? And she goes, should I tell her? I said, yeah. Hydrochloroquine. He went to a vet? Mom's freaking out, right? And so then I have another friend. You guys know him well, right? And he calls me up, and he says, your brother-in-law, by the way. He says, hey, man, I know where you can get some ivermectin paste. I said, paste? Like, isn't it like a pill thing? And he's like, no, get the paste. Get the paste. I swear by the paste. I said, okay, where do I get the paste? The feed store. The feed store? Really? Okay. I mean, at this point, I was willing to try whatever. I mean, I had gone through antibiotics. I had gone through, steroids. We hired a Catholic priest, and he came in with the water and the pine tree thing, and the power of Christ compels you, and it didn't work. So I'm like, okay, the paste, okay, great. So I'm heading into the feed store, and you guys got ivermectin? Yeah, it's in the back. Okay, and I'm walking along, and I see, they got Udder Balm, and they got like the horse shampoo, and all this other kind of stuff, and I'm like, why do they have the ivermectin back here? This is a weird spot for ivermectin. And a kid comes up and he says, gosh, that's how you know you're getting older? You start calling like 20-year-olds kids. Sorry. So anyway, he goes, yeah, here's the ivermectin. He pulls it out, and it's all these little boxes. I go, well, how many of these things do I need? And he said, how many horses are you treating? None. Well, who's the ivermectin for? Me. Oh yeah, I think I heard about that. Like, okay, you got apple flavor. Great, apple flavor. So I bring home apple flavor, and Molly and I are like, all right, let's do this thing. He said, you want to be careful, right? Because this is for a 1,600-pound horse. Don't overdo it. Like, I don't know what happens if you overdo it, but I don't really want to know what happens if you overdo it, right? And so we take the dose and everything based on our weight. We're crossing our fingers and our toes and saying Hail Marys and praying and all this kind of stuff. And they say it tastes like apples, right? It doesn't taste like apples. It's false advertising, right? It tastes like an aspirin that you smashed up in your toothpaste. And not the good toothpaste with all the sugar in it, but the other toothpaste, like the baking soda, that toothpaste, right? And so we take it and we're like, you feel any different? No, but it kind of helped out, I think. And we don't really have any, side effects, but nothing really, that I have noticed. But I'm feeling better, so that's good. So appreciate that. Yeah. And then COVID, right? How about all these variants we got? Like, what's the newest one?
Omicron.
Yeah. Have you heard about the next ones they got coming out? The Comic-Con variant? This one's where you dress up like a superhero and you go to this convention and you got to hang out with the Fantastic Four. That's how you get rid of it. Like, it started with masks with the first COVID. Now you gotta go to Comic-Con convention, right? And then the Mastodon variant. Have you heard of this one? If you don't catch it right away and catch it in time, you get these huge tusks that just start growing out from under your nose, and your nose gets really long. And apparently you start liking peanuts, right? The Decepticon variant. This one's my favorite, right? This is where you actually transform into a robot. And growing up, again, 80s kid, right? I always wanted to be a robot in disguise. So I'm super excited about that one coming. I'll probably even get a shot for that one. All right. Let's see. All right, so speaking of drug dealers, yeah, I found out my daughter started dealing at school. Candy. It's crazy. She's got kids coming up to her, hey, Allie, how much can I get for $2? I'll give you half a pack of Smarties. She's getting them started on pixie sticks, right? And then they're hitting her up for juju beads. It's nuts, but she's got a little good operation. I'm skimming 10% off the top, which isn't much with candy. These kids don't have enough money these days. So here's another thing. I've been seeing this naturopath lately, right? And our conversations are really, really interesting, to say the least. But we have a good time. Last time I went in, she taught me all about, and this is what you guys should know. This is your health lesson for tonight, okay? Guys and gals, testosterone and estrogen. Like, you got to have them balanced, right? If your hormones are out of balance, then weird things happen. Here's what she told me. She said, you know what, if your testosterone's out of balance, and this is mostly for the women, because usually, right, this part doesn't really matter for men, you'll get facial hair, you'll get mustaches, all that kind of stuff. Now, the cool part about this is I always wondered, those lunch ladies in elementary school, where all that facial hair came from. And now I know. If I would have known that back then, I could have helped them and said, hey, lay off the juice. The testosterone is coming out of your face. Now, guys, here's one you guys can test tonight if you want. If your estrogen gets too high, and you're crying more than laughing tonight, flick one of your nipples. Because sensitive nipples, apparently, are a sign of, am I right? Yeah, who knows? She's not here tonight, I was just as a friend. All right, so much fun. And then sleep test. Oh my gosh. These questions they ask you on these sleep tests are just crack me up, right? So we got these questions. I'm doing the sleep test because I've been on a CPAP and mostly it's for snoring so Molly can actually sleep and not kick me out of bed. One of those things. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. But one of the questions, the first question was, do you ever pull up to a stoplight and fall asleep? Moderately all the time or seldom. Okay? And the next one was, do you fall asleep after lunch? Right? And then there's things like, do you fall asleep mid-conversation? And I'm going, oh my gosh. If somebody follows asleep mid-conversation with me, I need some new material. Right? My favorite of all of them, though, was do you fall asleep when you lay down to rest? What the heck is that? No? Do you fall asleep when you're asleep? No, I'm just kidding. That wasn't a question. All right. How am I doing on time? Anybody? Oh my gosh, I blew everybody else's time. Okay. Well, hopefully that was fun. Let's give it up for our next comic. I want to introduce him because he's a great friend of mine. And absolutely funny man. This is his debut. So here's the thing, guys. We wanted to make sure we're a very diverse church, and we wanted to make sure that we had a diverse group. And so he is our diversity comic. He's vegan. Right? Let's give it up for Rocco Skinner.
So I'm super nervous. But wasn't it good?
Yeah.
Yeah, so hearing his set while I was sitting at that table, it just made me extra nervous that I wasn't going to be as funny as the rest of these guys. So while Laura wasn't looking, I just stole a list of her jokes. I can't really read her handwriting. All I can make out is something about her husband's a cop and how she has to homeschool like 12 of her kids, who are all girls, while he's at work trying not to die. I don't know. Anyway. Seriously though, to be honest, the last time I had to perform, I was in junior high. And I pretended to be sick so that I didn't have to go on stage. Yeah, and the difference between doing this and some random stand-up show is that I actually know all you people, so if I bomb tonight, I have to see you guys on Sunday. So I might have to find a different church after this. Yeah, but anyway, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Rocco. I'm a firearms instructor. I'm happily married. That's my wife right there holding the phone. We have 2 kids, both boys. And, being in my 30s, everybody asks me, are you guys going to have more kids? Are you guys going to have a girl? And I'm so tired of that question. The next person that asks me that, I'm just going to get a t-shirt made. Or I'm going to go get snipped and have a t-shirt made that says, don't ask me if I'm having more kids, I got snipped. Yeah. Speaking of getting snipped, you guys know how we do the water baptisms at church as a public display of our faith? When are we going to start doing public circumcisions to display to display the covenant between us and God. Or is that too Old Testament for you guys?
3 days off.
So, awkward transition back to my kids. Seriously though, having kids is great. But this is how I know God has a sense of humor. Because my youngest, he's 7, he is exactly like me in every way. Yeah, he could be a real handful. And I know he's my payback for the way I was with my mom. I know my mom and God are just sitting in heaven right now laughing at me every single day. Yeah, just the other day, he goes, "Hey Dad, I found a new song. Do you guys want to hear it?" Okay, sure. He goes, "Hey Google, play Butt Cheeks." Yeah, so I had to sit there for 4 minutes listening to a song about butt cheeks. Yeah, and my oldest, man, he's a teenager now. And I'm going to have to ground him from using all my shooting gear because he's getting really good, and I'm afraid he's going to be better at me than shooting really soon. You know, what kind of father would I be if I let my kids be better at me than me? I mean, he's still young and in good shape, and I'm only getting older, and the only shape I'm getting in is more round. So, you know, I do try to work out and eat healthier. Like Nick said, I am vegan. But I've been trying to get my summer body since about 3 winters ago. I feel I'm really close. And you know, New Year's was just a couple months ago, and you know, I wanted to join a gym. And you know, when you walk in, you do the checkout, and they always have that guy that they give you the free trial and the tour of the gym and shows you around all the machines on how they all work and stuff like that. Well, he shows me around, shows me how they all work, and then he leaves. I don't remember anything he just said or showed me. So I just walk up to this one thing and I get in there and I just start cranking things, moving my arms and whatever, and everybody's just staring at me. And this guy walks back up and he's like, "Hey, excuse me, sir, can you get out of the construction scaffolding, please?" Needless to say, I work out from home now. But my wife got us this great wall-mounted resistance machine. So far, it's been pretty great. I do like a 5-minute workout, and then I just walk right into the kitchen and eat a whole sleeve of Oreos to reward myself. You know, the couch is pretty close too, so I could just watch TV, lay down, and do some biceps. My wife has really appreciated the effort I've been putting in. But speaking of my wife, you know, she rarely wears makeup anymore, and I see this as a triple win. First, she has that natural beauty, you know. I mean, she is hot, even without it, so. Secondly, we don't have to spend ridiculous amounts of money every month buying makeup. And third, it would just get messed up anyways because everything makes her cry. Just the other day, I walked down the stairs and she was crying. I was like, "Oh my gosh, honey, what's wrong? Is everything okay? What can I do?" And she was watching Wicked Tuna. I don't know if you guys know that show. It follows different crews on boats, and they go out and they just try to catch the biggest tuna. And anyway, she was crying because her favorite boat hadn't caught any tuna that season, and the fishing season was almost over. So that meant they didn't make enough money to put food on the table to take back home, and so she was really upset about that. I suggested that they try to attract the tuna by playing some music, you know, something catchy. Sorry about that. You know, another thing about my wife is she says the word "we" a lot. I don't think she actually knows what that word means. You know, she'll say stuff like, "We need to go get groceries later today," or "We need to get me a new pair of shoes." And I'm like, we don't need to do anything. But I do have to hurry to finish up my set because we do have to go to Payless before they close after this. So are you guys familiar with the 5 love languages? There's physical touch,
Yeah.
acts of service, quality time, gifts, and words of affirmation. I'm convinced that there's a 6th love language that I like to call alone time. I'm serious. Yeah, when you're always with each other, nothing says I love you more than leaving you the heck alone and just giving me privacy for 5 minutes, right? Yeah. No, privacy is a big deal. I remember this one time in kindergarten, one of my friends kept trying to crawl under the stall while I was going to the bathroom, and I ended up peeing on his head. Yeah, I had to go to the principal's office and scrub this kid's head. They asked me why I did it, and I told them in my little kid voice, I just wanted privacy. Even back then, I couldn't get 5 freaking minutes. And I couldn't come out here without talking about the vaccine. So, I did think about getting the vaccine. I haven't. But I did think about it when it first came out. But then they started to mandate it and put all those restrictions to punish people who didn't get it. And when you're a kid and you're just about to start your homework or do some chores or something, but right before you do, your parents tell you to do it? Well, I was gonna do it, but now that you told me to do it, I don't want to do it. And that's how I felt about the vaccine. But then I got COVID, and I couldn't get out of bed for 3 weeks. But boy, did I show them that they're not the boss of me, right? But on a serious note, it's my personal opinion. Think whatever you want. Or I think whatever you decide to do, whether you get it or not, it's up to you. Just don't be a jerk about it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the end of my set. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Give it up for Rocco. All right, now I need anybody that. Oh no, we've actually got a birthday boy in the room.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, Don Juan Kramer. Yeah, we're gonna line up over here. He's ready for his spankings. 82 of them today. That's gonna be super loud. Yeah, let's give him a hand. And his wife was so excited about his birthday, she took off for Hawaii. That's right. So he's here with us, but we're glad you're here with us celebrating your birthday. You want to sing?
5 minutes away.
Do you have a lighter, so we're not a lighter?
Who got the lighter? Anybody? Come on.
No one smokes anything.
Who's got a couple of those?
I think I got an app for that.
Don's on fire. Maybe we don't have to light it. Maybe we don't have to light it. Why don't we sing him happy birthday?
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into the mic, but happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Don Kramer. Happy birthday to you. All right, now while Don eats his cake, we're going to take a little potty break. So stretch your legs. Probably about 10 minutes. We'll be right back here, okay? Thank you, guys.
Thanks.